June 4th, 2011, Kyle Busch gets put in a headlock by Richard Childress Racing and punched in the face. June 4th, 2023, Kyle Busch wins for Richard Childress Racing. Funny how the world works, right? Yo, what's up everyone? My name is Jet. Welcome back to the episode of MDK Racing Victory Stop. Oh boy, do we got a lot of stuff to talk about here with Gateway. Second time running and a lot of things happened, but at the same time, nothing happened. The race started out with one lap, Tyler Reddick spinning, and then we had about an hour or hour and a half or so weather delay due to lightning. Outside of that, nothing happened in stage one. Really, Kyle Busch led wire to wire. Stage two saw new contenders take over, like Ryan Blaney, who took the lead away from Kyle Busch on lap 61. And he started on the outside pole, started on the front row with Kyle, and continuing that momentum from last week's win at Charlotte, had a real fast car, which seemed to be a contender for Kyle to win the race. And Blaney was able to lead the rest of the way to win stage two. This race saw a lot of what we saw in last year's race. A lot of intense restarts, exciting side-by-side battle for the first 5 or so laps, and then long green flag runs, single file green flag racing, a lot of spread out racing, which just led to a lot of lackluster racing. So again, intense, exciting restarts, but still lackluster racing in the long green flag runs. That intense racing took place in stage 3, where, of course, when you're getting late into a race, cautions breed cautions, drivers get more aggressive and leads to more chaos. We saw a lot of drivers running into each other. Turns 1 and 2 was a hot spot for wrecking. I think Austin Cindric got into Christopher Bell. Greg Galling was stopped in turn 1 after he had an issue. Then you had a 2-car incident and a 3-wide battle with Cindric got in Austin Dillon, who sent Dillon into Stenhouse. Those 2 drivers got taken out. It was a lot of chaos. And up front, it was Kyle Busch, who was up front for most of the day, around the top 5 or so. Then you had Kyle Larson in the mix, who started 22nd, fell back to 32nd at the deepest, was able to climb his way up to second place, help with the tire strategy. He took 2 side tires or two right side tires to be able to get that track position and try to hold off Kyle Busch, but wasn't able to do so. Busch was able to hold off those drivers, those hungry pack of drivers, to win at Gateway for his 3rd win of 2023, his 63rd career Cup Series win, and I believe this is the 9th or 10th time that he has won from the pole. Let's take a look at the race results here. So Kyle Busch wins, Denny Hamlin in 2nd, Joe Logano 3rd, Larson holds on to 4th, and Martin Truex Jr. top 5. Ryan Blaney holds on for 6th place finish after he fell back just a tad bit. Daniel Suarez, a solid 7th place finish for him. William Byron, another driver that had a real good car, top 5 for a good portion of the day. Unfortunately, he had a bad pit stop late in that run when all those cautions ensued and wasn't able to get back up towards the front, settles for 8th. Michael McDowell had a real interesting roller coaster day. Right after the lightning delay, the 1-hour weather delay, he got wrecked by Ross Chastain, a 3-wide battle into turn 1, more like a racing deal rather than Chastain being Chastain. But somehow, again, with help from tire strategy, was able to take those 2 tires, get that track position, stay out in front, and was able to hold on to a 9th place finish. And Kevin Harvick rounds up the top 10. And then Christopher Bell 11th, Chris Buescher, Austin Cindric, AJ Allmendinger, and Tyler Gillen. Another great run for him in 15th place. Justin Haley, Ryan Preece, Eric Jones, Eric Almirola, and Ty Gibbs the top 20. Corey LaJoie in 21st. We're going to get to him in a little bit. Ross Chastain, a very surprising day for Ross Chastain. Another week in a row where Ross was virtually nowhere to be found. Very quiet 22nd place run for him. Harrison Burns, JJ Yeley, Ty Dillon, Alex Bowman had an issue, I think, on the last restart where he just fell off like a rock. Finishes 26th. Brad Keselowski in 28th had an engine issue very early on, and then Bubba Wallace in 30th. Austin Dillon 31st with Ricky Santos Jr. Noah Gragson. Chase Briscoe had a radiator issue where he ran over debris, I believe, punctured something in the radiator, finished 34th, and then Tyler Reddick and Carson Hocevar 35th and 36th. Now, those drivers, some of those drivers I mentioned, like Bubba, Gragson, Carson, and Reddick, they all had brake rotor issues, which is another issue we need to talk about because maybe it has to do with the design of the track itself, but we saw a lot of brake rotor issues, especially in turn 1. And maybe it has to do with the fact that these drivers are putting heavy amounts of load on these brakes. Maybe the teams weren't ready for it. I don't know what the issue was with it, but every time in turn 1, especially after a long green flag run, I mean, the brake rotor would just explode, and all but one of the drivers went straight into the wall. Gregson, who was the only driver that went into the corner when his brake rotor blew and just killed his car going from the bottom of the racetrack, coming back up. A ton of damage all over his race car. Luckily, he was okay, but a little bit shaken, but he took a huge hit. But other drivers like Bubba, who was en route to another top 10 finish, another good run until he had that brake rotor issue with 5 laps to go, was running in 11th place. Reddick was also running in the top 10. And Carson Husafar. Listen, Carson may finish dead last, but he put on a great performance. I was worried when he got to the Cup Series that he may not be ready. He's too immature, but he surprised me. Before that, he was running in the 16th place and was actually passing cars. He passed Chase Briscoe for 17th, a guy that's in a Stewart Haas equipment. Husafar is Inspire Motorsports equipment in his first start and was running pretty good compared to the guy that he was replacing, Corey LaJoie, who may finish 21st or somewhere around there, but he was outside the top 30 for a good portion of the race. Around the top 25 he was for majority of the race. It was not a good day. And I understand that most of Hendrick Motorsports, they weren't on their A game today. Yeah, Larson finished in 4th and Byron finished 8th, but it wasn't a HMS type of day that you were expecting. So I understand that, and I also understand it's a new team, but I mean, damn. He showed zero speed at all. And when you're compared to a guy that's replacing you, that's never completed a Cup race before in his life, first time ever, Inspire Motorsports outrunning you, I'm just saying, that ain't a good look, man. That ain't a good look. I'm just saying, I'm sorry. So yeah, while Husafar finished dead last, the results do not tell the full story because he had a really great run going. And then we had an issue with the power midway through the race. Right after the Carson Husafar accident, all the power went out. And for a good portion of the second half of the race, the teams were working with zero SMT data, none of that stuff. So they had to go old school, which was kind of nice to see. But the Fox broadcast went out for a good amount of time, maybe like, I want to say 4 or 5 minutes or so. Then you had this awkward moment. They were in the Charlotte studio, had to fill in airtime while they try to get everything back up running in the power station at Gateway. But yeah, outside of that, really nothing much else to say. It was a typical Gateway race. I mean, I'd say give it a 6.5 out of 10. I mean, not really much else I can really say about this one. I think I've already gone over the things I wanted to discuss. I mean, Kyle Busch and that A-team, they're cooking some. Or should I say they're smoking some heading into the playoffs because 3 wins, 16 playoff points. I mean, let's take a look at their 12 playoff points, I should say. 3 wins, 16 playoff points. Here's a look at the playoff grid with 11 races to go until the playoffs. Ryan Blaney is the new points leader. That's why his name is brighter green and with the white stripe. He is the playoff grid leader, but also the points leader with 11 races to go. Still 10 drivers locked into the playoffs, colored in green, all on the left side of your screen. Busch now joins William Byron with the most amount of wins this season at 3 apiece. Kevin Harvick plus 166, Chastain plus 159. Then RFK drivers Keselowski and Buescher 13th, 14th. Bubba Wallace plus 27. Daniel Suarez now moves up a spot, jumps into the top 16 plus 6 ahead of Alex Bowman. Ty Gibbs in 18th, and Austin Cindric and Michael McDowell each move up a spot to 19th and 20th, minus 33 and minus 35 respectively. So not much of a change in the playoff grid. But yeah, next weekend we're going to head to Sonoma. Daniel Suarez, the defending winner at that racetrack. And there's an opportunity for some new drivers to maybe join the mix. You know, for example, Chase Elliott. We know how good he is on the road courses, coming back now from his 1-race suspension. Michael McDowell, we know how good he is on the road course. Obviously, Daniel Suarez, the defending winner. It could be, you know, Ross Chastain, Juan Akota. Could be it could be a surprise winner we could see next weekend in Wine Country. But yeah, outside of Gateway, I mean, I wasn't expecting much from it. Like I said, 6 out of 5 or 6.5 out of 10, I give it. Exciting restarts. I mean, it had great restarts, but again, after 5 or so laps, with how very little tire fall this tire provides from Goodyear, I mean, you have to you have to have a very long green flag run without any stage cautions for you to really start to see some of these comers and goers, unlike what we saw in Charlotte, where we had comers and goers all day long. You didn't see that at all in this race. I mean, you saw it with track position. We saw some interesting tire strategy, but that's just because of the track position. If you had 2 tires, you could stay up in front for a good amount of time. Michael McDowell did it. Reddick did it. Larson did it. And especially the cautions help Larson stay in the top 5. Reddick and McDowell, they eventually started to fall back, but still, you could hold your ground for a good amount of time. If you were to take just 2 tires, you could stay there for a good amount of time, which again is a bad thing. So yeah, with that, very little tire fall off. A single groove racetrack, still need to work on some of the aerodynamics with the next gen car. On top of that, it was a cool racetrack. It wasn't hot and slick, very overcast, didn't help the next gen car at all. So again, for Gateway standards, I wasn't expecting much, so I wasn't surprised by the racing that we saw today. But those are my thoughts. What are your thoughts on this race? Did you like it? Did you not? Of course, late in the end, it got real chaotic, real crazy. But I thought the ending part was entertaining with all the cautions that were taking place. But from a racing perspective, it could be a lot better. But again, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Until next time, my name is Jett from MDK. Thank y'all so much for watching. Congratulations to Kyle Busch, your winner at Gateway.